very good evening to you. Welcome to the edition of the DBS News World. My name is Timothy Polion. Top story. Prime Minister Alan Shastin says his decision to house prisoners from islands affected by Hurricane Irma will not place the security of St. Lucians at risk. The Prime Minister has also denied reports that 40 prisoners were being transferred here. He says so far he has agreed to take in 3 prisoners from the Turks and Caicos Islands. DBS's Nicholas begins our news coverage.
Just Monday, Prime Minister Alan Shastin indicated to the media that 3 prisoners from the Turks and Caicos Islands would be transferred to St. Lucia. However, information received on Tuesday morning indicated that a total of 40 high-risk prisoners were being transferred here. Prime Minister Shastin says he has no knowledge of that development. What he has agreed to for now is to house 3 prisoners from the Turks and Caicos Islands. The Prime Minister explained that an audit was conducted at the Border Correctional Facility. That audit revealed that there was space available to accommodate 50 overseas prisoners.
I have not heard that. The request has been made to us for 3. As I indicated, when we did the audit, we have the capacity to be able to add 50 on a temporary basis. All the requests have been made to us at this point has been for 3.
The Prime Minister believes that most St. Lucians would support his decision.
It depends where this is coming from. You know, I think the vast majority of St. Lucians would support me in this position from a humanitarian perspective. They are St. Lucians who live in Turks and Caicos. Would you want criminals to be running around putting the lives in danger of other St. Lucians? Not only that, when I look at what the British government has done for St. Lucia in our history and most recently, that's the humanitarian thing to be able to do. And no point are we putting St. Lucians at risk. I'm very comfortable that our security system is very good. We've been working very closely with the British authorities as to who the criminals are and what their backgrounds are.
Prime Minister Shastin maintains that strict protocols will be established to control the transfer process. For the DBS News World, I am Don Nicholas.
The Caribbean Electric Utility Service Corporation, CARILEC, has activated a utility restoration strategy among members after successive storms battered islands in the northern Leeward Islands, leaving thousands of residents without power. Alex Busque has the details.
CARILEC mobilizes crews from utilities would have indicated their capacities and the number of crews they have on standby. St. Lucia's sole electricity company, Lucia, was the first to respond in terms of having a crew of skilled workers on the ground in St. Kitts as early as Saturday last week.
A crew of 5 persons from Lucia landed in St. Kitts, and they hope to have the restoration effort. They escalated. We have other member utilities, 9 in total, from unaffected territories that have committed a total of, by now it's 50 linesmen who are available for deployment within 24 hours.
According to Dr. Burton, CARILEC continues to make contact with its members through the established channels, and more crews will be deployed in the days ahead.
We're also extending that support to include some level of disaster relief to the employees of utilities. Bearing in mind, you sort of give you a practical example. So when we contacted Nevis over the weekend, they were in a position to wrap up their restoration efforts within a day or 2, and they immediately volunteered to send a crew to St. Kitts and then to Anguilla to assist in their recovery. But bear in mind, Nevis is not altogether there, meaning they're not fully restored in terms of conditions of life and so on. So you're asking persons who have suffered, who are still in a sense, we didn't ask, they volunteered to go assist others who are more in need. So we had some internal discussions and realized that we should also expand our relief effort to the family members of utility workers.
CARILEC's executive director says all this is being done in collaboration with CDEMA. CARILEC is a membership organization with a total of 35 full member utilities across the region, of which most contribute to a disaster recovery fund. For the DBS News World, I am Alex Lucia.
The Ministry of External Affairs has set up an email for the benefit of solutions in countries affected by Hurricane Irma who wish to come home to their families. Local authorities have also opened a help desk in the Virgin Islands and dispatched a team to locate solutions in the affected countries. Don Nicholas has more.
Know the government is willing and ready to assist them to come home to family members during this difficult time, and if they could contact us through these mediums, help will be arranged to bring them back home.
St. Martin, Totola, St. Thomas and Antigua and Barbuda have all been seriously affected by the hurricane. For the DBS News World, I am Don Nicholas.
And the Supplies Committee of the National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO, met with members of the Supplies Management Committee this week to develop an action plan to get emergency supplies to the islands affected by the passage of Hurricane Irma. We have more in this report from DBS's Alex Bousquet.
The Supplies Management Committee comprises of hoteliers, representatives of the Chamber of Commerce, various churches, and the St. Lucia Red Cross, to name a few.
All of those persons who have supplies, warehouses, and things that are available to give to the persons who are in need. So today we're meeting with them, giving them the needs list for the other affected territories, and we are going to decide how we can come together in order to put the items for our brothers and sisters.
The Supplies Committee, Mr. Hyacinth says, has met with individual committee members in the past week.
Preliminarily, we have met with some of the agencies separately, but today we're bringing them all together so that we can actually agree with each other as to what exactly we can help, instead of duplicating work, so we can actually strategize in a much better way.
The meeting was held at the conference room at the NEMO headquarters. For the DBS News World, I am Alex Bousquet.
Still in the first segment of the broadcast, Street Vibes.
Hi, I'm Alex Bousquet, and you're watching Street Vibes. How do you think St. Lucia would have fared if Irma had hit us just as it did to the Leeward Islands?
With God help, I think everything would be all right. But I don't think we would be able to.
Si te coïncide ici, manière coïncide les autres islands là.
Ah, tout le monde est fini. Puis, quand c'est mon nom, ou pas une personne pour faire shelter. Si c'est pas là, qu'on pour shelter.
Watch our schools there. They have no hurricane and the children out of school. Far less if that hurricane attacks. Everybody suffering. Everybody would have feel the pain.
Est-ce que si te coïncide nous te caïsa supporter ça?
Non, nous pas de supporter, mais de croiser cette ici, parce que manière nous y là, nous avons des ressources de l'eau. So merci bon Dieu. D'attendre pas arriver nous still pas de nous sauver, but nous avons quitté toutes les mains bon Dieu.
We don't in this situation or the position to maintain that kind of pressure that would, and it would be bad for a lot of us as St. Lucian and other people from around the Caribbean, knowing that we eating our bread, you know, from the system in St. Lucia. I know for sure St. Lucia could not manage that pressure.
Well, Mr. Bousquet, in the crisis we are right now there, I think we wouldn't have a St. Lucia again. We'd be finished.
Well, you've just been watching Street Vibes with me, Alex Bousquet, down here at the Aquarius Crossing, the intersection of Coral and St. Louis Streets. With that, we'll take you back to our studio.
Thank you very much, Alex. You're watching St. Lucia's television and news leader and listening to us on Rhythm FM 95.5. We are also online and the big screen at the Aquarius Crossing in downtown Castries. Still to come, 2 men wind up in hospital nursing gunshot wounds, and government still undecided about the future of St. Jude Hospital. Welcome back to the DBS News World. 2 male individuals are in hospital after being shot in Bocage, Castries. The incident reportedly occurred at about 7:30 p.m. on Monday. Don Nicholas tells us more.
A family member of one of the men involved in the shooting, who did not want to speak on camera, said he was at home when he heard the gunshots. According to reports, multiple gunshots were fired around 7:30 p.m. By the time it was over, 2 males were transported to hospital. Monday night's shooting comes in the wake of a double homicide on Saturday morning. Shane Augustine, 21, and David Codra, 28, were gunned down in La Clary. Within hours of that incident, a man identified as Kennedy Dentis was shot in the ankle at Riverside Road. There is no indication that any of these incidents are related. For the DBS News World, I am Don Nicholas.
Prime Minister Alan Shastney has planted the blame on the backs of opposition members for the sandals tax controversy, saying that they are the ones who passed the Incentives Act while in office. We have a report.
The MP for Miku South, who is also St. Lucia's Prime Minister, Alan Shastney, began by explaining how the Financial Management Bill was designed to strengthen the existing Financial Act. Then he spoke about the sandals tax exemption issue, where government was accused of granting a $24 million exemption to Sandals International. However, the Prime Minister transferred the blame on the backs of the opposition members, stating that they were the ones who passed the Tax Incentives Act, which according to him made provisions for tax to be withheld.
You had a withholding tax waiver from 1992 to 2001. Then there was a gap between 2001 and 2008, and then the withholding tax waiver was given again by the former government from 2009 to 2020. And also when you look at what the claim was in terms of what the tax was due on, a court has already ruled that that would not apply. So this idea that people believe that Sandals owed the $7 million, on review of it, they didn't.
From the opposition's point of view, there are matters that come under the Finance Management Bill, and the issue involving sandals takes priority.
There are a lot of things that are silent in the Financial Act and not stated, and therefore don't hold the government accountable. So things like how we go about our budget. This idea that we're continuously passing our budgets in the new year itself is wrong. More details in terms of the expenditure. While we're doing some things in practice, it's not enshrined in law. So really the intent of the Act today is to strengthen the Act and to bring St. Lucia to be more consistent with the rest of the world, and particularly with the OECD countries.
The Youth Empowerment Project also came in for specialized attention. For the DBS News World, I am Chayla Mendez.
Still no new St. Jude Hospital in sight, as the hospital marks the 8th anniversary since the original facility was destroyed by fire.
Prime Minister Alan Shastney described the situation concerning the construction of the new St. Jude Hospital as disgusting. He says it's a problem that was inherited from the former administration. He says $118 million later, the facility is no closer to opening.
I'm disgusted. I was able to receive a full report from the consultants, and it's a very sad situation. In fact, I'm making a quick trip to Cayman tomorrow to see the hospital facility there, and we're weighing up the different options we have, but I have to say to St. Lucians that it's not a pretty picture. You know, it's very, very sad that, as you said, 8 years have gone by, but more importantly, over $118 million has been spent, and we're no closer today of having a hospital than we were at the beginning.
The Prime Minister says government is faced with a tough decision, and that is should the current administration complete the existing facility, which according to the Prime Minister is fraught with many problems, or should authorities construct a new hospital.
There's a lot of problems with the building itself, as been reported, and we have to be able to make a decision on what's the best way forward, whether it's to fix up the existing hospital, and we're getting what the costs are to do that, or possibly build a new wing. Because even if that hospital was to be operational, I mean, you can go there yourself and see how spread out it is. It's going to be an operational nightmare. And in fact, are we really pushing forward the quality of health in St. Lucia with that facility?
The John Odlum Stadium has been used over the years as a makeshift hospital. For the DBS News World, I am Chayla Mendes.
We continue the broadcast with news that the opposition St. Lucia Labour Party has responded to social media complaints that it is not applying enough pressure on the government to make decisions that are in the people's best interest. Don Nicholas has more.
The Facebook comments criticized the opposition Labour Party for not doing enough to pressure the government into making wise decisions regarding the future of the country. The SLP says there are various options available to the party as to how to proceed, but officials say they will take the first option, which is to work through the parliamentary process.
We live in a parliamentary democracy. There are two options. You either wait for the next elections, the people engage in massive public unrest, or you overthrow the government.
What does the SLP intend to do?
Well, I think we are a parliamentary party, and our first option is to work through the parliamentary process.
The St. Lucia Labour Party assured the people of St. Lucia that it will do all in its power to speak out when things are not going right.
I think as a parliamentary party, we have to explain to our supporters that we will maximize pressure on the government. We will build a national sentiment against the government as they continue to do the things they do, and hopefully the people following the leadership of the party will want to demonstrate to the government that it cannot continue in office. And I think that's always our first option.
The DSH project in particular has been a bone of contention. The opposition took issue with a number of aspects of the deal, as well as amendments to the Citizenship by Investment program. For the DBS News World, I'm Don Nicholas.
Well, the DBS News World continues in just a moment. The Ministry of Education advances plans to introduce more technology to local classrooms. Thank you so much for staying on the broadcast. The Department of Commerce hosted a business plan development workshop in collaboration with the Bank of St. Lucia this week. The aim was to sensitize small business owners on how to prepare more effective business plans that meet the requirements and expectations of lenders. Alex Busquet has the details.
The Department of Commerce recognized that persons encounter problems with preparing and putting together a business plan and decided to host a workshop to help their clients to be able to do just that.
Today we have about 25 to 26 persons who we would be assisting with putting together the skeleton version of the business plan, and we're hoping that after this 3-day session we would be able to work with them so that they would be able to complete the plan. The aim is that by the end of October, that each person who participates in this session would have a completed business plan.
For Business Month, which is observed in the month of November, the department will be looking forward to having persons who have finished their business plans present them to a panel of financiers.
Basically, a business plan is a roadmap to success. So we want persons to know, to start putting a plan together. They need to understand who are their markets, how are they going to target those persons, what are the steps that they're going to take to get from where they are right now to where they want to be. It is significant. Also, for financing and also for bringing on investments, you need a business plan. So a business plan is critical to the business person now.
This workshop took place at the ITC Center in Castries. For the DBS News World, I am Alex Busquet.
Part of the Ministry of Education's thrust to integrate technology with instruction within the classroom received a shot in the arm with a visit to St. Lucia by a specialist from the Commonwealth of Learning.
Dr. Alison Richardson, an education specialist with the Commonwealth of Learning, was here on a mission to look into how St. Lucia can further collaborate with the Commonwealth of Learning, specifically with regards to technical vocational education and training, or TVET. Dr. Richardson, who specializes in TVET, paid a courtesy call on Minister for Education, Innovation, Gender Relations and Sustainable Development, Honorable Dr. Gail Rigobert, recently. Dr. Richardson says the Commonwealth of Learning, which is an intergovernmental agency tasked with supporting governments and institutions within the Commonwealth to benefit from technology integration, is in support of flexible TVET.
We're all being asked to do more with less, and we believe that through the appropriate use of technology, our member countries can have these benefits so that more citizens get access to quality skills training, quality education programs, and ultimately go on to gain sustainable livelihoods. For us, it isn't about giving certificates. Certificates are important, but what people really want is employment or self-employment and the skills to earn a living.
On her third visit to the island, Dr. Richardson says she's seen progress in St. Lucia's quest to develop new skills training programs that are available as an open education resource. An open education resource, she says, is a high-quality expert-written and reviewed program made freely available under an open license that anyone can benefit.
So we're trying to move away from the idea that you can lock knowledge behind a paywall. And so we want our partners, particularly in the Caribbean, where you've got this wonderful regional qualification, the Caribbean vocational qualification. So you've got so many countries offering the same qualification. So we work to support the development of these new course materials, which can then be shared between all of the countries, so everybody can progress more quickly.
Meantime, Minister with Responsibility for Education, Honorable Dr. Gail Rigobert, thanked the Commonwealth of Learning for their intervention. Dr. Rigobert says the ministry's attempt to infuse technology into the curriculum will ensure that school leavers are truly graduates of the 21st century, suitable to work in a knowledge-based economy.
And that is why I'm especially happy for your visit this time around, because you recognize that we need to, now more than ever, ensure that this is steeped within the institutional framework of the ministry, and that is in fact part and parcel of its programming for the next couple academic years.
Dr. Richardson is also assisting the Sir Arthur Lewis Community College to help broaden their reach and the capacity of their programs, while some of the Commonwealth of Learning TVET expert also met with the National TVET Council. From the Communications Unit of the Ministry of Education, Innovation, Gender Relations and Sustainable Development, I am Chris Sackney reporting.
And now this. The Babonneau Police, in collaboration with the St. Lucia National Table Tennis Association, donated a table tennis table and related equipment to the students of the Babonneau Primary School today. The donation is part of efforts to not only develop an interest in tennis among students, but to use sports generally to keep students out of trouble.
The Babonneau was developed as a community policing station, and we've been going around looking for different little projects that we could undertake when it comes to sports, well, youth and sports actually. Well, this is one of the first. We have also made a request through the Saunders Foundation for the refurbishment of the basketball court, which is on the compound of the school, because that court is in a deplorable condition, and honestly, I don't think it's fit for the students to play on that court due to the potential health hazards which are presently on the court. So if anybody from the foundation is seeing this, I just begging for some assistance for the students of this primary school.
The acting inspector says simple gestures such as refurbishing the school's basketball court and having a table tennis board can be a start in curbing students' idleness.
Officers from the Babonneau Police Station approached the National Association, and the contact they had was myself. So when they approached me with the hope of getting the table, I quickly ran it by our president, who said, okay, well, it's his community work and stuff. He jumped onto it. That's Mr. Matthews. And so we were able to try to locate a table. It wasn't brand new, but the service was excellent. So we got the table, and I bought it for them, and they were extremely excited to hand it over.
The handing over ceremony took place at the Babonneau Police Station earlier today. You're watching the DBS News World. Sports is next with Brian Calixte.
The St. Lucia Olympic Committee Incorporated commissioned its new headquarters on Sunday, September 10th. The premises, located along the Vibuday Highway and the Leclerc Junction, was purchased in April 2016 and affords the St. Lucia Olympic Committee a more convenient base to conduct its business and cater to the needs of member federations that make up the organization. Speaking at the ceremony, President of the St. Lucia Olympic Committee, Fortuna Belarus, spoke of the vision conceptualized over 2 decades ago.
Everyone involved in this organization, and when I say the organization, the Olympic Committee, as well as the National Sports Federations, everyone involved is a volunteer. And we are indeed proud that through our voluntary efforts, we have been able to realize this dream. And I ask the members to take a bow and applaud yourselves for this effort, because it was hard work, but we were able to realize it. This building, therefore, belongs to our members. For many years, those of us in the management and operations of sport have been clamoring for a place to call home, a place where we as sports people can come and be renewed, a place where we can come and engage each other constructively, a place where we could share experiences and be uplifted, particularly when the going gets tough, a place with access to many hands that can make light work. Today, it's a reality, and I'm indeed pleased that under my leadership, our executive was able to realize this. It was our #1 campaign pledge. I'm talking about campaign pledges. It was our #1 campaign pledge in 2013. And so 4 years later, we are here. And I'm confident that every member is satisfied with the investment that we have made. The total cost of purchase and refurbishment is over 2.3 million Eastern Caribbean dollars. The purchase price was 1.6 million, and repairs, renovations, and equipment to date total $702,000. Our appreciation must be extended to the government of St. Lucia for the waiver of the vendor's tax, as well as the efficient manner in which our application for incorporation was facilitated. Of course, former Minister of Sports, Honorable Sean Edwards, shared the dream as well with us, and he too did his part in facilitating us through the concessions. We have training rooms, we have a museum, we have a boardroom, we have a library, we have storage space, a very flexible rooftop. You know, the rooftop is all concrete, and it can be transformed to anything we want at any time. So those of us who are creative will use up there to do whatever we deem that is significant every time we have an occasion. Funding for this project came from the International Olympic Committee, the Pan American Sports Organization, and of course our own local savings over the last 20-something years. I think it's important at this juncture to reiterate that the savings we made to realize this home was not to the detriment of our affiliates or our athletes that represented St. Lucia at various games, as we were always able, with the support of the programs that we receive from Olympic Solidarity and PASO, to take care of our athletes in the best way possible.
In basketball, 4 exciting matchups kicked off the second week of the 2017 KFC Basketball League. The first game on Friday, September 8th, saw a battle of the public service with the CSA taking on the St. Lucia Teachers Union. The St. Lucia Teachers Union was gunning for its first win of the tournament after blowing a 15-point lead last weekend, the 1-point loss to the media. But Simon Hippolyte's 22 and Kevin Martin's 27 points were not enough for the Teachers to get past a stacked CSA team. The CSA delivered a 83-69 beating, led by KFC co-players of the game, Ron DeMerville and Keegan Preville. DeMerville ended the game with 29 points, 10 rebounds, 7 steals, while Preville contributed 24 points, 13 rebounds, and 6 assists. Friday's second game saw Financial Services coming out with a 68-58 victory over Sandals. Kieran Walcott and Simeon Meda were Sandals' top scorers with 14 points apiece. Walcott also put up an impressive performance on the glass with 16 rebounds. KFC player of the game, Rahim Ogis, led Financial Services with 21 points, 5 rebounds, 4 steals. Marlon Samuel also chipped in with 16 points and 10 rebounds. Defending champions Peter & Company distributed Goddard Group on Saturday also continued their undefeated streak from the 2016 tournament with a convincing 68-49 win over Wasco. Ali Quinlan earned KFC Player of the Game honors, leading Peter & Company distributors with 22 points and 4 steals. Tristan James contributed 22 points and 10 rebounds in Wasco's losing effort. The weekend was capped off with a nail-biting encounter between the Media Ballers and 2016 runners-up, the St. Lucia Fire Service. The short-handed Media team fielded only 6 players, set the pace from the opening tip, resulting in a 32-26 lead at the half. The final score was 66-57 in favor of the St. Lucia Fire Service. Owen Casabor was the KFC Player of the Game with some key baskets and rebounds in the waning minutes to give the St. Lucia Fire Service the edge. Casabor finished with 15 points, 6 rebounds, 4 steals, while Marcian Cauldron contributed 15 points, 12 rebounds, and Jean-Michel Eloy chipped in with 16 points as well for the Firemen. Paul Hippolyte led the Media with 24 points and 10 rebounds. Matchups in the 2017 KFC Commercial Basketball League continue tomorrow at the Bosisio Indoor Practice Facility, with the CSA taking on the Royal St. Lucia Police Force, and that game tips off at 7 p.m. In news on cricket, World Cricket West Indies has belatedly confirmed the sacking of the West Indies women's management team, which oversaw the Caribbean side's wretched campaign at the recent Women's World Cup in England. In a release yesterday, Cricket West Indies said it would be setting up a new management support structure for the team ahead of Sri Lanka's women's tour of the Caribbean starting from October 4th. Recent media reports said head coach Vasmer Drakes, along with Ezra Mosley and Stuart Williams, and operations manager Anne Brown-John, had all been removed from their positions. Experienced Henry Springer has been named as head coach, and former West Indies head coach Gus Logie as his assistant in an interim management team. Physiotherapist Oba Gulston has been replaced by Ariane Manga, while fitness coordinator Hector Martinez-Charles has been replaced by Shane Cooper. Gary Bell will take over from Trent Sargent as data analyst. West Indies women arrived at the June 24th to July 23rd showpiece as one of the favorites, but lost all their warm-up matches and then their first 4 in the preliminary round to suffer an elimination. Their only 2 wins came against Sri Lanka and Pakistan, the 2 weakest teams in the tournament, as they finished 6th of the 8 teams with 5 defeats to end on 4 points. An 18-member squad will be selected shortly for a camp set to run from September 25th to October 4th, from which the side to face Sri Lanka will be chosen. Stay tuned, more sports still to come. .52 86 carried Pakistan to a comfortable 20-run win over the World 11 in the first of a 3-match T20 series versus a World 11. We have highlights.
That's up in the air and almost another very good try. That's gone in his bowling arm. That's gone up in the air. Will this go all the way? That was more a flick than the pull shot, and in two minds probably. Just wanted to get the ball away on the deeper end of the fence, and oh, that's a wide one. That's beaten the keeper. 4 wides. Here he goes, and it's a chance. This will be out. Easily handled and taken. It's Imran Taher. Gone for the big shot and is cleared. That'll be 4. Edged and gone. Bang! And out of there. What a... Pull him! Right on target.
And this has been the goal, the slower delivery for the faster bowlers. Worked it 3.
Especially on this pitch, it's a slow pitch, and I think Pakistani bowlers have gathered and realized that
Shot to catch it. It won't be taken. It's gone for 6. Just enough on it to take it over the fielder. Maximum. He's gone again. 6 more.
from the over, 3 dot balls, 2 sixes, and that's where the Yorker can be very, very useful because bats
20 balls. Look at that for a strike. That's big. This is Darren Sammy turning it on. Faced a few dot balls, but has got into his work. 23 from just 12. Half his score. Shoaib Malik. Oh, yes. Oh, what a delivery. That is beautiful.
When you go on a delivery like this,
and here they are once again, just putting the final touches to a victory against the World 11. In 2020 this time. Similar sort of skills for these bowlers. Oh, out. They're hesitant whether to go back. It goes for 4. But the game is done.
Pakistan lead the 3-match series 1-0 with 2 games to go. The second T20 will be played at Gaddafi Stadium on Wednesday. And finally tonight in news of the Champions League, when Manchester United made a winning return to the Champions League, the deserved home victory over Swiss side Basel. Maroon Fellaini, who came on for the injured Paul Pogba in the first half, rose highest to head United ahead from an Ashley Young cross with 10 minutes to go to the break. Romelu Lukaku strengthened their grip on the encounter by converting from among a group of players in the box from a Daily Blind cross, following a short corner. Marcus Rashford fired in his side's third from a Fellaini low cross 7 minutes on. The scoreline could have been even greater for Jose Mourinho's dominant side, making their first appearance in Europe's Premier Club competition since 2015, having qualified by winning the Europa League in May. Meanwhile, results of other Champions League matches played today. CSK Moscow defeated Benfica 2-1, while Paris Saint-Germain they trounced Celtic 5-0. Bayern Munich defeated RSC Anderlecht 3-0, while Chelsea trounced Karabakh 6-0. Roma and Atletico Madrid played to a goalless draw. Barcelona defeated Juventus 3-0, and Sporting Lisbon defeated Olympiacos 3-2. Don't go away. The weather is up next.
The Tropical Weather Report is brought to you with the kind...
The wide view here, satellite picture showing you what is left of Irma. You can see the big swirl on the satellite here in the southeastern part of the U.S. And then here is Jose. Jose is now a Category 1 hurricane. It's actually moving away from the U.S. right now. That's going to change, we think, in the longer term. It's going to begin to turn tail and move back towards the northwest. Looking at the satellite picture here, it's being sheared pretty thoroughly. The center of circulation is right there, and you see how all the high cloud is off towards the south and a little to the east. That's because there are very strong winds coming out of the north, wind shear. And in fact, it's not just that it's shearing the system, it's also that it's actually injecting a little bit of drier air, which you can see wrapping around the center right there in that last frame. And so right now the system is struggling, and it's expected to become a tropical storm because of that shear. But the shear is eventually going to lessen. That should allow it to once again become a hurricane. And it's also going to come back towards the west-northwest. Initially, it's moving off towards the east, but eventually an area of high pressure is going to build in here, and that will drive the system more towards the west-northwest. And then it's going to begin to curve up and probably move to the north and northeast. Right now, most of the available model guidance suggests that it's going to be offshore. This is the European model from this morning, very similar to what we saw last night as well, even a little farther offshore. But when we look at the ensemble members of the European model, you can imagine a bunch of different tracks spread out here. You see that some of them, the westward extent, actually does get very close to the U.S. coast and over it in some areas. And so this is something that we'll just need to keep a really close eye on in the coming days. Much more.
The Tropical Weather Report was brought to you with the kind compliments of Fix, financial investment and consultancy services, a company you...
Things you do for yourself are gone when you are gone, but the things you do for others remain as your legacy. The DBS News continues. Please stay tuned.
Welcome back. Time now for the usual reminder. The Prime Minister denies reports that dozens of overseas convicts are on their way here. Carrie Leg activates a utility post-hurricane restoration strategy among members. 2 men are hospitalized nursing gunshot wounds, and government undecided on the future of the St. Jude Hospital. And as a broadcast, thank you so much for watching and listening to the DBS News World. On behalf of the entire news team, I'm Timothy Polion, wishing you a very good evening. Stand by now for the program What's Happening Now with Laura. It starts at 8:30 tonight, right here on DBS Television. Goodbye.